Another new symptom has been spotted, and this clinical indicator points towards Trump having a significantly increased risk of mortality from all causes. What's more, this new indicator places Trump at the end of this physiological reserve curve. But it's not just this one new symptom. It's been a very busy few days for Trump's health. Let's take a look at what media has been saying over the past 24 hours.
It is not looking good for Donald Trump. His health is collapsing fast. His mental and physical health is absolutely deteriorating.
Donald Trump's health is deteriorating before our very eyes, and everyone in his cabinet feels a responsibility to cover it up.
If anybody in the White House sees this video, I'd like to publicly dare the president to do this on camera. But he fucking won't, because he fucking can't.
Calls for a neurologist have exploded.
All that sounds pretty bad, but what did they discover, and does it have clinical merit? One of them did find a new symptom. Let's look at the evidence. First, here's Ben Meiselas with MeidasTouch.
Over the past 48 hours, we've seen incidents that are very, very alarming. This scene right here is not getting enough attention.
That's quite a setup. He's talking about an incident that happened in the Oval Office during the swearing in of new DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. David Pakman also talked about the same scene with Trump. Let's play the clips.
Calls for a neurologist have exploded after Donald Trump was standing unsteadily with an asymmetrically droopy face, but major concerns about Trump's appearance and unsteadiness during this event.
It just seems surreal being in the Oval Office and having the President of the United States speak so highly of me and then recognize my family and know my family by name. It's humbling, and I never take it for granted, but I made this very clear that I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same, and we will do that. I'll fight every single day. Today, I got the privilege of meeting so many. It just seems
Trump, very, very concerning. Very, very concerning to people with regard to his appearance.
I've got to say, I honestly don't see much here. Trump looks tired. He looks bored. He already admits that he gets bored at these kind of events. Those little jerky movements, especially when he has to stand still and quiet, are not new for Trump. I see no new evidence here for some new health issue. So let's move on to the next clips. This is Jack Cocchiarella, and he also has something to say about Trump's health based on what he saw during the cabinet meeting yesterday.
Donald Trump's health is deteriorating before our very eyes, and everyone in his cabinet feels a responsibility to cover it up. And that is exactly what we saw at a cabinet meeting today. A drowsy Donald Trump seeing his face and his eyes droop down again, wake up and again, and wake up. And he woke up because Pete Hegseth was keeping him awake, trying to make sure that Donald Trump didn't humiliate himself on national television as he continues to fall asleep every time he has to sit for more than 5 minutes. It was an absolute disaster. You're not projecting strength. In fact, you're projecting the opposite. We saw Trump fall asleep in these two clips right here.
We're here to win, and we're full speed ahead. So, Steve, we appreciate your efforts. Commander. IRGC's Navy commander was killed overnight in operation. So no Navy leader. Now that here's the thing about the media, though. If President Trump had not acted, you'd be screaming, why not?
So Trump is clearly dozing off. He's tired. He's out of it. He's confused. He's yelling. Later, he started screaming about pens, which we're certainly not going to watch that clip, but it was kind of a disaster. But Pete Hegseth could clearly tell that his boss was in and out of consciousness, and so he just kept talking at him and saying, Mr. President and Mr. President. And he was trying to wake him up.
This actually isn't something new to me. I may be a young guy, Mr. President, but I'm not a rookie in this realm. In 2007, I helped lead the surge, the public fight for the Iraq surge. Stood and watched people stand in the Senate and declare the war is lost before it even started. Who was that? That was Harry Reid. That was the Democrats and the media working hand in glove. Back then it was 3 years into a war. Now we're 3 weeks into an operation. But see, unlike Iraq, this isn't a tie. This is not parity. This is not chaos. This is success, pure American success, on plan, and as the president said, ahead of pace. Over 10,000 enemy targets destroyed, over 140, I think now you're right, Mr. President, over 150 naval vessels sunk, underground facilities destroyed, their defense industrial base in shambles, and overnight, not only do they not have a Navy, Mr. President, they no longer have a Navy commander. IRGC's Navy commander was killed overnight in operation. So no Navy leader.
I would like to say, before we just kind of talk about the fact that the president of the United States continues to fall asleep on live television and no one wants to talk about it.
Trump dozing off at these long meetings, again, is not something that's new. I do agree with Jack that Pete Hegseth seems to be making an intentional effort to direct his speech towards Trump in an effort to keep him engaged and awake. Nothing about this is normal. It's not okay that a sitting president can't stay awake for cabinet meetings. And many people are saying that it's not the falling asleep that bothers them, it's the waking up. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If being president is so boring, Donald, resign the presidency. But clinically speaking, once again, I don't see anything new here. But let's get to the last clip. This video has 3 million views across social media. And this one definitely has clinical merit. In fact, the symptom Adam spots here is associated with a 3 to 5 times higher risk of mortality from all causes over the next 5 years. Let's watch Adam's clip.
I'm going to show you how this little move right here is a predictor of how long somebody has left to live. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia and all sorts of other shit, just like the president.
This is not an auto pen.
Now that may not look like much to the general public, but for a physical therapist who works with the geriatric population, I'm immediately noticing he's requiring support to achieve the act of sitting, which most likely indicates he has to have support to achieve the act of standing. I use the sit-to-stand movement as an exercise all by itself to keep my patients out of the hospital, keep them from falling, and to improve their strength and balance. And the reason I do this is there is clinically validated data that suggests when a patient cannot sit to stand 5 times in a row in less than 16 seconds from a chair like this, their mortality from all causes over the next 5 years is significantly increased. I routinely tell my patients, if you can do 5 of these sit-to-stands with your arms crossed over your chest in a row, you are very likely to never need to see me ever again. And that, of course, motivates them to exercise on their own because they don't want to see my ass anymore. When you watch him do this, do you think that he could stand up and sit down without using any support in less than 16 seconds? The answer is no. And if anybody in the White House sees this video, I'd like to publicly dare the president to do this on camera. But he fucking won't because he fucking can't. And it's yet another piece of clinical data that I use to give you the timeline of 2 months before this asshole either leaves the land of the living or they're forced to impeach, invoke the 25th Amendment, or use Article 2, Section 4. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I agree with Adam. Invoke the 25th Amendment. I also agree. I seriously doubt Trump can do 5 sit-to-stands in less than 16 seconds. In fact, he looks like he's on his way to needing a walker. What does a normal sit-to-stand look like? Here's a clip. So that lady looks pretty athletic, and it took her about 10 seconds to do those 5 sit-to-stands. Do you think Trump can do those 5 sit-to-stands in less than 16 seconds? Again, that's unsupported, cannot use his hands. Here's the full video of Trump sitting. And this is when he stands up. You'll notice he needed to support himself with his hands when he was sitting and when he was getting up. In the medical test, your arms must be crossed across your chest. I just don't think he can do it. But what does that mean? The ultimate issue is a loss of core strength, leg strength, balance, and proprioception. The medical diagnosis for the muscle wasting and the loss of muscle function is called sarcopenia. That muscle wasting and the inability to complete the sit-to-stand maneuver is associated with a 3 to 5 times higher risk of mortality from all causes. Also, people who can't do this are 84% more likely to need to be hospitalized, and the need for nursing home care increases by 400 to 500%. Here's a visual of an average vitality curve or a physiological reserve curve. When we see sarcopenia, we know that the person is approaching the steepest decline in vitality. That would place Trump just at the beginning of the steepest decline on this curve. It's looking more and more like the most expensive dementia care unit in the United States is the White House. I believe we can officially add sarcopenia with all of its associated risks to Trump's growing diagnosis list. And more than that, all of this evidence points to the terrifying reality that we are being led by incompetent, unqualified, corrupt, and or deeply unserious people. Thanks to Adam for the keen eye in spotting Trump's new symptom, and thanks to all the media sources for keeping close watch on Trump's health, and thanks to all of you for watching. Please subscribe so you can stay up to date on our ongoing clinical investigation of Trump's health, along with other important political topics, including a video coming soon about an interesting pattern that I've noticed with Trump's health. We need your support to get to 100,000 subscribers, which will help us keep making great content for you. A very special thank you to our new and existing members. Please consider becoming a valued member today. If you want to come say hi to me, you can find me over on Blue Sky. Take care. I'll see you soon.